Logan.
Logan, you're missing all this.
Alright.
Is it time to start?
Just about. Alright. Check the time one more time. Yeah. We'll just go ahead and start it now. Alright, since y'all are already down here. So I'm going to blow my whistle real quick.
Why?
Well, it's a way to signal to everybody else in the camp, all the people that are at the farm, that I'm going to fire. Alright?
We're all the way at the farm?
Listen now.
Alright. So, what I have in my hands here is a smoothbore flintlock musket. Now, this is what the soldiers are going to be using. Now, the weapon of choice might not be one of these. It does have a couple of drawbacks, but it's the weapon that the soldiers will be using. And the term I used again was a smoothbore flintlock musket. So, how I break this weapon down and talk about it easily is I just take that term and I use that to talk about it. So, the first thing is the lock of the weapon, which is right here. This is the lock. And there's a piece of flint right here, which makes it a flintlock. So, flint striking steel gives me sparks. So, sparks are what I'm relying on to get this weapon to go off. So, when I squeeze the trigger, you could see those. Okay?
See the
So,
sparks?
the sparks right there should hopefully ignite that small amount of gunpowder I'm going to put in this pan here and send a small charge of gunpowder and explosion through into the main part of the barrel here through a small touch hole that's drilled in the side. Alright, so it all has to touch, it creates a fuse. Now, if that doesn't happen, however, maybe that touch hole gets clogged, excuse me, or maybe let's say that spark doesn't hit that powder, or maybe my flint is too dull to give me a good spark. If any of those things happen, I get something called a misfire, and that can be about 1 in every 6 shots is a misfire. So this weapon here isn't the most reliable in the world compared to our modern day weapons. But this weapon here is what they're using. So, other than the flintlock, this is also a smooth bore, so that means that the inside of this barrel is smooth. Same thing as the inside of the barrel. With a smooth bored weapon, they're only good at about 100 yards, and 100 yards is our average football field, so everybody can pretty much visualize that pretty well. So 100 yards, and at that distance, it has a 6-foot hit-miss radius. So what that means is, if I was aiming at you, ma'am, I could hit somebody 6 foot this way, 6 foot that way, 6 foot above you, or 6 foot in front of you. Is this weapon accurate in today's standards?
Oh, really? No.
Definitely not. Okay. Now, there are other weapons, however, that are more accurate. They're called rifles. They have this rifling in the barrel. It's a spiral cut groove that puts a spin on the ball as it comes out. So this rifling is going to make it go in a more linear trajectory. Whereas this here, the ball is bouncing around because it's loose fitting. With a rifle, it's a very tight fitting. It catches the grooves when it comes out. With this, it's loose fitting. It'll bounce around until it leaves. So with rifles, I can hit somebody at 300 yards. I can hit a man-sized target at that distance. Okay? So rifles are very effective weapons. But the problem is, they're more expensive. So I can get 4 rifles, or 4 muskets for the price of 1 rifle. So, definitely going to be able to supply more men. Alright? So other than that, the rifles also take longer to load. Because a rifle, it takes, or that very tight-fitting ball, I have to literally force that ball down the barrel because it's very tight-fitting. So if I'm using a smooth bore, it loads a lot faster. So a rifle takes almost 1 minute and 30 seconds to load. Alright, and a musket takes 15 seconds. So that is how a good soldier should be able to load and fire that, and hope I'll be able to show you that here in a minute. So other than the 15 seconds and the fact that muskets are cheaper, muskets also have a bayonet, which is a very useful tool in the tactics that we're using. So the tactics we use are linear tactics, which are long lines of men, shoulder to shoulder, all firing at the same time. And those linear tactics allow these men to do 3 things. First off, it's like that volley of fire, that large grouping of men firing all at one time, allows me to have a better chance of hitting a target downrange, because I'm spraying bullets all over the place. A lot of lead goes downrange, and eventually one of those bullets, or multiple of those bullets, will hit the target. By myself, I might not stand a whole lot of chance hitting that target, but in a large group, I have a better chance. Also, by being in that large group of men, it's kind of like safety in numbers. So when I'm by myself, my weapon isn't working. What have I made myself? A target. And that's not something you want to be on the battlefield. Okay? Now, the last thing about this weapon is the bayonet. So the bayonet are very useful in the tactics that we use them. So the tactics, the way that we are all standing in that formation, the linear tactics, By using the bayonet and that wall pretty much is just basically having a wall of spikes. And what we do is we charge bayonets. Now what that looks like is we all kind of have our own notions of what it looks like where people are running all over the battlefield, you know, spread out and all. But what you want to do is you want to stay on that solid wall. You all drop these down, point that right at the enemy's stomach, and you march at about this speed. Okay? So you're not trying to run, but what you try to do is intimidate and scare, because how this usually works is usually the enemy has been hit by a couple of volleys. You've gotten in a little bit closer, so your volleys continue to get more effective. Imagine you're standing in that line. Your buddy that you've known through the entire war has just got hit. He's on the ground screaming. That huge puff of smoke, you can't see anything, and out of that wall of, or that cloud, all you see is a wall of these just coming right at your stomach. Most people at this point are probably going to do what? Turn and run. And if you do that, then I win. I don't necessarily have to kill you in this war. All I have to do is get you to run away. Okay? So, that's how the weapon works. That's how the tactics work. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to step back and fire. So I already put some hearing protection in. But the next thing I want to tell you is I'm going to fire this twice. So the first time I fire is going to be the manual of arms, which is a step-by-step process. So this is the way that the soldiers are all going to learn how to load and fire. Okay? Now, other than the manual of arms, they're also going to go through a prime and load method, which is all the steps I used the first time, all together. Okay? So, I'm going to go ahead and step back and fire this off. Now, there are a couple things. If you don't like loud noises, on the command make ready, that's a good time for you to cover your ears. I will remind you one other time. Also, I will not actually be firing a projectile out of this. It's just going to be a lot of smoke and a lot of noise, okay? Alright. So, we would march into combat at our shoulder. Right? This is a way that we can all march in that line where we shoulder to shoulder. Now, we'll come down to the priming position to load. So this is the priming position. If I'm standing shoulder to shoulder with somebody, how am I able to load like this? The musket of the other guy is probably directly in my face, so there's not a whole lot of space. So what we all do is we turn it at 45, our barrels point downrange, and we're looking at the back of the man in front of us. All the barrels are pointed downrange, so we're kind of at a 45-degree angle to how we were standing. And we go ahead and get our first command, which is half-cock firelock. That's the half-cock. We squeeze the trigger, nothing happens. It's kind of like a safety. Next command that we're going to hear is handle cartridge. Let me try to slap my cartridge box and pull a pre-made paper tube of gunpowder. Now to open this up, bite it off, clear it out, hold it on my chin until I get the command to prime. I'll shake a little bit of powder in the pan here. Shut pan. I cast the weapon about. Charge with cartridge. Everything else will go down the barrel, including that paper tube. Draw a rammer. Ram down cartridge. I'll make sure everything's seated in the barrel. And if I did have a musket ball, it would have all been in one, right there in that cartridge. Okay, I'd have loaded it and charged the cartridge. Everything would have gone down. All right, and return rammer. We also square back up. Shoulder firelock. So those are the commands that you will see us go through. Now, instead of getting each individual command the second time, you're just going to get one command, which is going to be prime and load. All right. So now we march into combat, usually fully loaded. All right. The command that we are going to get at this point is going to be make ready, take aim, and fire. So now, again, if you don't like loud noises, now's a good time for you to cover your ears. Okay. All right. Make ready. Take aim. Fire. So, that is just one shot. Now on the battlefield, again, I don't want to wait and do each individual step by doing each individual command. So, how long should this take me again?
15 seconds.
Alright, so, let's see if I can do it, alright? Prime alert! Make ready! Take it! Fire! So, we talked about misfires, right? This is not scripted. Now what happened here is I probably just didn't get enough sparks to land onto that powder. my flint is getting kind of dull here. So what I do is I just bring it back to the half cock, shut the pan again, and I can either wait for the next volley, or I can just go ahead and fire it off right now. So I'm just going to go back up to the shoulder and wait for the next volley here. So let's try it again. Make, ready? Take aim. Fire! Okay. This weapon here, you can see where there's linear tactics come in handy. So this time, I'm not going to wait to go for that volley. I'm just going to bring it back full cock and fire! Okay. So, that pretty much does conclude my musket demonstration. Now, if y'all have any further questions, please let me know. If not, I hope you have a good rest of your day here at Yorktown Victory Center. All right?
Okay, so the line of guys behind you was firing too?
To fix it, I just kept on going back.
So it's your third time.
I want to play boxing.
Sometimes, if it's really dull, what I can do is I can take a metal musket spool like this.
What was the game here?